Let's start the class by chanting the invocation. Om Pratasmarami Hridhi Samspuradatmatattvam Satchit Sukham Paramaham Sagatim Turiyam Yat Swapna Jagara Sushuptamaveti Nityam Tad Brahma Nishkalamaham Nacha Bhuta Sangaha. Verses 6 to 10 of the Atmabodha.
Samsara swapnatulyo hi ragadveshadi sankulaha swakale satyabadbhati prabodhe satyasadbhave tavat satyam jagadbhati shuktikarajatam yatha Yavanna-jnayate brahma sarvadhishthanamadvayam upadane-khiladhare jaganti parameshware sargasthitilayan yanti budbudani vavarini Satchidatmanyanusyute nitye vishnau prakalpitaha yaktayo vividha sarvaha hatake katakadivat yathakasho hrishikesho nanopadhigato vibhuhu Tadbhedat bhinnavadbhati tannashe kevalo bhave.
A spiritual person is like an explorer. An explorer like a Marco Polo or a Vasco da Gama or the famous Christopher Columbus. Now, what did they do? They explored an unknown area. They didn't know what they're going to encounter. They took a plunge into that unknown. That quality of an explorer can be likened to a spiritual person. The spiritual person takes a plunge into the unknown. You don't know the Atman, you don't know the self. Out of sheer faith, you're taking a plunge. The difference is that the explorers are going externally into the world. In the spiritual path, you're going internally. Just as there is an unknown world externally, though there is so much of exploration which has been done over centuries, still there is so much of unexplored regions in the world, not to talk of space, which is unexplored. Similarly, internally, your internal world is also unexplored. You have not explored the world within you. NASA dedicates the time and effort to explore unknown areas externally. Similarly, the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, they are like NASA. They are dedicated to finding internally, exploring internally. See, what is fascinating is externally, yes, we don't know. That we can accept it. Internally, if you say you don't know, that should hit you. You mean to say within me, I don't know? Exactly, within you, you don't know. You don't know yourself. which is what the scriptures are saying. You don't know yourself. So the day you understand that, you will get a shock. Oh my God, is it true? I don't know myself. Huh? One day it'll hit you. The day it hits you, that's when you wake up. Otherwise, you're in complacency. You feel everything is okay, everything is fine, my life is good. Is in ignorance, total ignorance. You're living a life. So we saw that in the 6th verse, which we covered last class. And we looked at the example of the waking and the dream states. Just as the dreamer becomes the waker, similarly, the waker becomes a self realized person. That's the comparison. Dreamer becomes the waker, similarly, the waker becomes self realized. When the dreamer goes through the dream states, the dreamer believes it is real. The dream state is real. Moment you wake up, you realize it's an imagination, it's an illusion. The Sanskrit word used for illusion is called Maya. I'm sure all of you are familiar with that word, Maya. Ya ma iti Maya. What is the meaning of the word Maya? Maya means, what does Maya mean? That which you don't know. So you believe this world is real, to which the scripture says Maya. No, Neti, Neti. It's not real. Is the world unreal? No, Neti, Neti. Is the world partly real, partly unreal? No, Neti, Neti. Maya. Maya means not that. Not that, not that, not that. By the process of negation, you are taken to question. You have no choice but to question because everything is negated. What is this world then? If it is not real, if it is not unreal, if it is not partly real and partly unreal, what the heaven is this world then? Maya. In other words, Maya is not an answer. People think, oh, Maya, illusion, illusion. What do you understand by that? Nothing you understand. Whatever you understood, that is also you get confused. Maya is not an answer. Maya is only a proposition, a supposition that is introduced in order to make you think. Like, for example, the religious people believe God. The moment God is given in the scriptures, they say, oh my God, we got the answer. God, we got the answer. What is the answer? Who is God? What is God? Where is God? Don't know. So God is not the answer. God is only an assumption that there could be something, some power, some entity beyond this world. It's just an assumption. You've got to find out, you've got to prove that assumption. The answers in the spiritual path is all internal. There's no external answers. Internally, you've got to explore and get it. And now we move on to the 7th verse.
तावत् सत्यं जगद्भाति शुक्तिकारजतं यथा यावन्न ज्ञायते ब्रह्म सर्वाधिष्ठानमद्वयम् तावत् सत्यं जगद्भाति शुक्तिकारजतं यथा यावन्न ज्ञायते ब्रह्म सर्वाधिष्ठानमद्वयम्.
As long as the non-dual reality, which is Brahman, the substratum of all, is not realized, so long the world appears real like silver in oyster shell. So as long as you don't realize Brahman as the reality, so long the world appears real. The example given here is like silver in oyster shell. The example of an optical illusion is given. What is the optical illusion here is when there is an oyster shell and light falls on that oyster shell, it appears that there is silver, like silver in oyster shell. Because of that reflection of that light, you feel there is silver in the oyster shell. There is no silver, it's just an imagination. It gives an appearance of silver because of the reflection of the light. The moment you see that oyster shell, you understand what that substratum is. The reality is it's an oyster shell. There's no silver. The imagination of silver is removed. See, all these examples have a meaning only when you connect it to the concept. The example is given to explain a concept. What is the concept here? The concept is that you don't know Brahman, you don't see Brahman. Brahman is the substratum of this world. Aldous Huxley defines substratum as the ground upon which things play about. The ground upon which things play about. He says that is a substratum. Brahman is a substratum of this world. It is the base upon which everything exists. Like the road on which the cars run. When you're driving your cars, are you aware of the road? After a while, you're not aware of the road. You take it for granted. When you're on the trains, you're not aware of the rails. The rails is a substratum. After a while, you take it for granted. You're not conscious of the base. Similarly, the substratum, the base is Brahman. You don't see that base. As a result, you imagine that the world is real. Ignorance of Brahman projects the reality of the world. Who created the world? What created the world? You have created the world out of your own ignorance. Philosophically speaking, Lord Brahma, Brahma in the Hindu mythology is regarded as a creator. Who is Lord Brahma? What is the philosophical significance of Brahma? Brahma is ignorance of the self, ignorance of Brahman. Ignorance of Brahman is Brahma. That is the reason why Brahma is not worshipped. Traditionally, Shiva, Vishnu are worshipped. There are hardly 2 or 3 temples dedicated to Brahma in the whole of India. Because Brahma is the one who has brought us into ignorance. You want to get out of ignorance. You need Shiva. Shiva is a destroyer, destroys ignorance, blasts the ignorance. So, ignorance of Brahman produces the world. Once you gain knowledge of Brahman, the world disappears. Advayam, the Sanskrit word Advayam means non-dual. Dvayam is duality. Advayam, non-duality. There's also another word used which many of you would be familiar with, Advaita. Advaita, non-duality. The same derivation. Advayam, non-dual. When it is applied to a school of philosophy, it becomes Advaita. Dvaita, Advaita. The two. And the third one is Vishishta Advaita. Three schools of philosophy. I'm not getting into that right now. I'm just indicating it because of that word Advayam. As long as the Advayam Brahman, the non-dual Brahman, is not realized, as long as you don't see the reality. What is the reality? The reality is there is no duality. But right now you see duality. What is your contact with the world? There's a duality. You contacting the world, that's your experience. You are the subject, the world is the object. Subject contacting the object is an experience. Your entire life is based on duality. But Brahman is beyond duality, non-dual. Even when a person says, I have to develop spiritually, out of humility, you may say, yes, I think I understand I'm in ignorance. I have to get out of this ignorance. I have to go to that Brahman. Even that is duality. You understand? I am in ignorance. There's a duality. But when you reach the state of Brahman, there is no you and something else because your individuality dissolves. You become one with Brahman. You become one with the totality. Like the river merges with the ocean. When the river merges with the ocean, the river loses its identity. It becomes one with the ocean. In the ocean, where is the river? There is no river in the ocean. All the rivers have merged. Silver in oyster shell. It looks real as if it is real silver. It is attractive. You're drawn by that attraction. You get caught up with the attraction. Similarly, the world is attractive. You get drawn into that attraction. You get caught up in the attractions of the world. What is the reason? The reason is you don't see the substratum Brahman. You don't see that oyster shell. You see the oyster shell, immediately you understand there's no silver, it's just an oyster shell. This technique of seeing the same experience from a different point of view. Okay, when you see an experience from one angle, from one point of view, you get stuck with that. But when you see it from a different angle, from a different point of view, it changes your perspective of the whole experience. Even when you see a person straight, so you're seeing me straight like this. But when you see me in the side, you see me from the back, I may look different. And those who came for the retreat last week, they checked me out from all directions. Huh? Because all of you coming to class, you only see me like this. One thing, this much only you see. Some of you must be wondering, how tall is he? What is his height, weight? So people who came to the retreat, they checked out everything. Okay, what is his height? What is his weight? What is the? Oh, yeah. He's like everything they verified. Hmm? They observed very closely. The magnifying glass, some people came close, examined. So you see from one angle, the person looks different. Another angle, they look different. That's why when people go on dates, They see the photograph, such a lovely fellow. You go and meet that person, terrible the fellow looks. This technique is called Pratipaksha Bhavana. Pratipaksha Bhavana. Pratipaksha Bhavana literally means seeing that object, seeing that experience from a different angle. Literally, it means seeing it from the opposite angle. You've got to apply this Pratipaksha Bhavana to every experience in life. See, suppose a person has beer. I know it's too early to talk of beer. So suppose a person has beer. What is beer? Water, barley, hops, yeast. Suppose you want beer and I give you water in one glass, barley in another glass, hops in another glass, yeast, and say, here, this is beer. Have it. You will say, what is this? It's terrible. Water, barley. It looks so boring, sounds very boring. But when you combine it in a certain form and you have it, you say, it's good. Carlsberg. Carlsberg is good. It's very good. Huh? What is good? What is that ultimately? If you break it down into the constituents, it is absurd, it is boring. The constituents are boring. You combine it, it becomes different. This is called Pratipaksha Bhavana. Pratipaksha Bhavana means breaking it into its constituents. When you break it into constituents, you look at it differently. In other words, you ask yourself, where is that pleasure coming from? Because when you break it down, there's no pleasure in each of the constituents. You put it together, there's pleasure. You see, you take some stones, take some rocks, take some bricks, some paint, put it together. Those are the different attractions you're seeing in the world. You go and do sightseeing. What is the big sightseeing you're seeing? Stones, rocks, bricks, paint, mortar. In one form, is this one form, is that attraction? The Pratipaksha Bhavana means the technique of educating oneself through intellectual re-evaluation. I repeat, the technique of educating oneself. So you're educating yourself through intellectual re-evaluation. You're re-evaluating it, recalibrating it from a different angle, from a different side. That way you're well informed of all angles. And then you decide, do I want that or not? A person with makeup looks certain way. A person without makeup, my God, you'll run, the other direction. My God, like a ghost, that person is. So you see, only with makeup, that person, you commit to that person, and then you're stuck. So what they're saying is, see the person with makeup, without makeup, and decide. You may still say, okay, it's fine. The person looks better than me without makeup. You understand? So whatever it is, you should be well informed of that object, of that experience. So once you're well informed, you know all the data, then you decide, do I want to contact it or not? People who get married, who have children, later they say, oh, if I had known, I would have decided differently. They didn't know the data, they didn't know the facts before. See that. What is Pratipaksha Bhavana? It literally means view from the opposite side. Pratipaksha. Bhavana means technique. Pratipaksha means to view from the opposite side. And the explanation we are giving is a technique of educating oneself through intellectual reevaluation. Shankara employs the same technique in Bhajagovinda. As long as the non-dual reality, Brahman, the substratum of all, you don't see that substratum. He says that is a problem. The root cause of the problem is you don't see that base. So since the substratum is not realized, so long the world appears real. When Shankara talks about the world in this verse, now what is the world? The world could be the objects and beings that you're seeing, the gross world, or it could be the world within you, the emotions and thoughts, the subtle world, the gross world or the subtle world, or the world of deep sleep, which is the awakened world. Whatever it is, means all the experiences that you're going through. That's what he means by world. So long the world appears real, like silver in oyster shell. So each of these verses, you should understand it in the context of that example that is given. Each example is trying to convey one aspect, one facet, like a diamond. You see, the diamond has got various facets to it. Similarly, each example in the Atmabodha is one facet of the diamond of truth. The different sides you look at it, then you get the complete truth. Okay, is that clear? All right. Oh no, it's not clear to someone. Nitya?
Sorry, it is clear. I just had a question.
No, yes.
So with the educating oneself through the intellectual reevaluation, I guess, like, what good is that? Because, like, there's no amount of thinking that we can do that will kind of help you comprehend the self, right? So, like, how does Pratipaksha Bhavana help with that?
With the self, what it does is it removes the ignorance. You can't get the self directly, but when you remove the ignorance, what remains is the self. You become one with the self. So Pratibhavana is to remove the ignorance that you're caught up in.
But how do you do that intellectually? Like, the last time we said we can't, right?
Intellectually, you are comfortable with your ignorance right now. You don't see your ignorance. It's called tamas. Tamas means darkness. There's a darkness within you. You don't see that, what is within. The main problem with ignorance or tamas is ignorance of ignorance. Not only that you're ignorant, but you're ignorant of the fact that you're ignorant. Through Pratipaksha Bhavana, your ignorance gets exposed. My God, I don't understand these things. I don't know these things. When you start looking at it in different angles, you say, oh gosh, I didn't realize it was this way. I didn't realize that way. You're challenged constantly. Suddenly you wake up, you say, my God, I don't know. I don't know the truth. So if you proceed in this direction, someday you will get that awakening. I don't understand what the truth is. But before that, you've got to work on day-to-day things. Whatever you're contacting, you believe you know everything. No. I don't know. This knowledge exposes that ignorance. Then gradually you get to a state where you will be able to conceive that you're ignorant of Brahman.
Right. So I guess it's studying with you in this class and a way of Pratipaksha Bhavana, because you're kind of knowing about or learning about the things that you don't know.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Exposing areas of ignorance, different aspects, whether it's relationship, whether it is parenting, whether it is work, whether any aspect, everyone believes, I know, I'm okay, I'm all right. Once you realize, no, I'm not okay, I don't know what that means. What is work? I don't understand what stress is. I don't understand what leadership is, what is increasing productivity, what is the art of parenting. So these basic things in life, first of all, you have got to realize you don't know. Then you will be able to get to that awakening someday, that Brahman, I don't know.
Okay, got it. I think I misunderstood you. I thought you were saying that it's that you have to like reevaluate and try to understand the self, like by using your mind, I guess. But yeah, this is more clear. So thank you.
So Sharbai.
Thank you, Bhaskar. Haribam. And Pratipaksha Bhavana from Atmabodha, can we, or is it possible to apply that to a non-physical example? So we had beer in this case, to like say for something subtle, like if we have a negative thought or an idea or a story or something we've heard, can we split that somehow so to dissolve it? Like
An emotion, a negative emotion, when a person entertains a negative emotion, what is the negative emotion? Why does a person entertain a negative emotion? Because that negative emotion produces pleasure. But you don't see that pleasure. See, when a person gets into jealousy, when a person gets into hatred, why does a person get into these negative emotions in the first place? The psychology is because that produces pleasure. It's a negative form of pleasure. Even ego. Why does a person get egoistic? Because when you boost your ego, you get pleasure. It's a negative pleasure, but it's still pleasure. But when a person is entertaining the negative emotion, they don't see that pleasure. This is Pratipaksha Bhavana. You see that same negative emotion from a different angle. My God, I'm entertaining this negative emotion. It gives me a kick. It gives me that pleasure. I shouldn't fall for that negative pleasure. You get drawn into the negative pleasure. It gives you that kick. That's why you start getting into it more and more, like addiction. You get addicted physically. It gives you that negative pleasure, negative joy. You get addicted to that. Similarly, mentally, a person can get addicted to negative emotion, the pleasure of negative emotions.
So thank you. That's very helpful. So next time I experience a negative emotion, I can ask myself, what am I getting as a positive kick? And then that's not conducive for my spiritual sadhana.
So that's what, in any example, you can apply it from a different angle. You see it from a different angle.
Thank you, Hari.
Radha?
Adi Bhaskarji. My question is, so the only way to get out of ignorance is through the scriptures. And then we say scriptures also are in the end ignorance. Then do we use ignorance to get out of ignorance?
See, there is grades of ignorance. Now, when we say knowledge, what is knowledge? Knowledge and ignorance are relative terms. Within the world, knowledge and ignorance are relative terms. So you've got to distinguish between knowledge within the world and knowledge beyond the world. I'll give you an example, then you'll understand it. It is like the knowledge in the dream. Within the dream, a person has knowledge of various things. There's knowledge of his family in the dream, knowledge of work in the dream, and let's say the person does research in the dream and he's given Nobel Prize in the dream. He gets a Nobel Prize in the dream. He's a brilliant guy in the dream. Now, what is that knowledge compared to knowledge of the waker? When the person wakes up and gains the knowledge of the waker, it differs in kind. It's a different kind of knowledge compared to all the knowledges in the dream. The knowledges in the dream differ in degree. One person is uneducated, illiterate. Another person has gone to primary school, that's all. nothing more. Another person going to secondary school, that's all. So within the world, there are grades of knowledge. But all the knowledges in the world are ignorance compared to the knowledge of the waker, as far as the dream is concerned. Similarly, all the knowledges in this state are ignorance compared to the knowledge of the self. When you gain the knowledge of the self, it's a different kind of knowledge. It can't be compared to getting a Nobel Prize in this state, because the Nobel Prize in the state is still part of the illusion, still part of ignorance, which is what you're saying. The scriptures are also part of this world. It's still part of the illusion. That's not the knowledge you're talking about. You're talking about the knowledge of the self. When you get out of the world, gain the knowledge of the self, that's the knowledge you're talking about.
Okay. Thank you, Bhaskarji.
That's
Understood.
absolute knowledge. That absolute knowledge differs in kind, not just in degree. But right now, you gain the knowledge in the world, knowledge from the scriptures, knowledge from the teacher. Use that to get rid of your ignorance. Gradually, you keep on reducing ignorance. You're still in ignorance, but you're reducing the ignorance. Less and less ignorant. But it's only when you realize the self, you'll get absolute knowledge.
Thank you, Bhaskarji.
Next verse, number 8.
उपादानेऽखिलाधारे जगन्ति परमेश्वरे सर्गस्थितिलयान् यान्ति बुद्बुदानीव वारिणि उपादानेऽखिलाधारे जगन्ति परमेश्वरे सर्गस्थितिलयान् यान्ति बुद्बुदानीव वारिणि.
Like bubbles in water, the worlds arise from, exist in, and dissolve into the Supreme Lord, the material cause and supporter of everything. Like Budbuddha. Budbuddha means bubbles, like bubbles in water. Now, what is the comparison in this example? What is water? Water is compared to Brahman. The bubbles are arising from water. The individuals come out of Brahman. So what is Shankara saying in effect? He is saying, you and me, we are bubbles. That's what he's saying. We're all bubbles. One bubble is big, another bubble is small, tiny, but ultimately it's all bubbles. Now, what is a bubble? Bubble is a thin film of water which is filled with air. That is a bubble, filled with air. That film of water is filled inside with air. To pop that bubble, that air goes, bubble is gone. That air within that bubble represents your vasanas, your ego. So more that ego, bigger that bubble. Essentially trapped wind, he's saying. Huh? Your ego is all trapped wind. Bloated. You're bloated by your own ego. The bubble that comes out of water, the bubble is born out of water, it remains in water, and when you burst that bubble, what happens? It goes back into water. The existence of the bubble all the time remains in water. And just because of a little bit of that ego, you believe I'm separate from water. Even when you believe you're separate from water, you are nothing but water. Similarly, you arise from Brahman, exist in Brahman, and you merge back into Brahman. But you believe you have an independent existence away from Brahman. You have that individuality because of that ego. That is the definition of ego. What is ego? Ego is that sense of individuality, a sense of separateness. As Swami Ramatirtha says, he says, it's like you're living in an island of your own. That is ego. That loneliness is caused because of your own ego, not because of others. You have separated yourself from others. You have created an island of your own. In reality, you are not separate from others. The cause of ego, ignorance of the self, ignorance of Brahman. In reality, you are not separate. In reality, you are one with the self. You are one with Brahman. But because of ignorance, you feel you're separate. Like bubbles in water, the worlds arise from existence and dissolve into Brahman, the Supreme Lord. And what is Brahman? He says it is Upadane Akhiladare. Upadane means material cause. Akhiladare, it is a supporter. There are three aspects to creation. Any creation involves three aspects. First is the material cause. Second is the efficient cause. Third is the instrumental cause. Like the example of creating a pot. The material cause for the pot is clay. The efficient cause is the potter, the person who's creating the pot. The instrumental cause is the potter's wheel, with which the potter makes the pot. Material cause, efficient cause, instrumental cause. In the example of the creation of the world, the material cause is Brahman, efficient cause is Brahman, instrumental cause is Brahman. Everything is Brahman. The worlds arise from existence and dissolve back into Brahman. In the fourth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Brahmarpanam Brahmahavi, Brahmagnau Brahmanahutam, Brahmaivatena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. He's giving the example of the yajna, the havan, the fire ritual. He says every aspect of the fire ritual is Brahman. The offering is Brahman. Who offers is Brahman. The fire is Brahman. Arpanam Brahmahavihi, Brahmagno Brahmanahutam. That's why that prayer is chanted before meals. Traditionally in ashrams, if you go, in the ashrams, they will chant this prayer before meal. Brahmarpanam Brahmahavihi, Brahmagno Brahmanahutam, Brahmaivatena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. So when you're eating, before you're eating, what are you reminding yourself? This enjoyment of eating is nothing but Brahman. Without Brahman, I will not be able to enjoy food. What makes me enjoy is that reality. So you're reminding yourself of the reality before you go through a sense enjoyment. Before you watch a film, you go to the cinema, you watch. Before you enter, what do you say? Brahmarpanam Brahmavi, Brahmagno Brahmanavadam, Brahmayodena, Brahmagarma Samadhina. That experience is caused because of Brahman. Without Brahman, I won't be able to see it. I won't be able to hear it. See that three aspects of creation, the process of creation: material cause, efficient cause, instrumental cause. Upadane akhiladare. The Supreme Lord Brahman is the material cause and supporter of everything. Nitya. See, the word Nitya means permanent. Nitya is permanently asking questions. Nitya?
Sorry, I do have this
You
reputation.
you don't have to be sorry. Please ask your questions.
Thank you. So the analogy is quite good, but I had a question. So I guess now that we know that we're like the bubbles and we're like independent, as individual, sorry. How do you, I guess, experience the oneness? Because I experience my own individual self, but I don't experience a sense of connectedness.
That's the barrier is an ego. Why does that bubble appear separate from the ocean? Because of that little wind which is trapped into the bubble. That's all. That air which is trapped in it. Similarly, that ego is what separates you from others. Now, when you remove all that ego, 100% you remove the ego, that is self-realization. You become one with all. Gradually, what you need to do before that is to identify with a larger cause. When you identify with a larger cause, you dilute the focus on yourself. For example, a person who is single, who's only thinking about himself or herself, when that person gets married, immediately the person starts thinking about the partner, about children. The focus shifts to the larger family, then probably the. Similarly, when you take up some higher ideal, when you are able to identify with a higher ideal, you reduce the focus on yourself. Like we had the COVID at the time, the nurses and the doctors working day and night to save patients. Many of them were putting their own lives at risk. They were not thinking about themselves so much. They were thinking about helping others. So when you are inspired by a higher cause, you think less about yourself automatically. The focus on yourself reduces. That's how you reduce the ego. You reduce the ego by identifying with a higher cause. And as you keep expanding that cause higher and higher, the highest cause is Brahman, is self-realization. But before you can conceive self-realization, you've got to slowly expand your understanding, broaden your mind.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you.
So in fact, two things you'll have to do at the same time. One is gain knowledge of the scriptures so that you can reduce the ignorance. Ultimately, the base of ego is ignorance. You've got to reduce that ignorance. And then at a practical level, on a day-to-day basis, identify with a higher ideal. As a result, your ego reduces.
Yeah,
So both
sounds
you
good.
have to do side by side. Next verse, number 9.
सच्चिदात्मन्यनुस्यूते नित्ये विष्णौ प्रकल्पिताः व्यक्तयो विविधाः सर्वाः
The manifested world of plurality is superimposed by imagination upon the eternal, all-pervading Vishnu. Vishnu is indicated here as Brahman, whose nature, what is the nature of Brahman, is existence, intelligence. Just as bangles, etc., means bangles and other ornaments are superimposed on gold. Superimposition is to set on top of something. Superimposition is a projection. A movie is superimposed on a screen. A rainbow is superimposed on the sky. You see the external superimpositions. Similarly, there are internal superimpositions. You superimpose your expectation upon others. I wish she can do this. I wish he could do this. It's your expectation which you're superimposing upon your wife, your children, upon your husband. You don't see the reality. You don't see what they are, what they want to achieve. Instead of it, you're superimposing up your expectations upon that. I want my son to become a doctor. He is not interested in medicine. He wants to become an artist. But you are superimposing your expectation. She becomes a doctor. I want to send to the best of university. But his reality is different. And you're not connecting with that reality because you're caught up with your own superimposition. When you don't see the reality, you caught up in your own superimposition. I wish there is peace in the world. I wish there'll be peace in the world. Your neighbor is plotting to put a bomb in your house. You're not seeing that reality. What your neighbor is going to do, you're going to bomb your house and you're wishing, oh, I wish there is peace in the world. Anyway, peacefully you will also go. That's okay. But because of the superimposition, you're living in your own world. You don't see that reality. All that the scriptures are saying is see the reality. See the world as it is. See people as they are, not what you would like them to be. Similarly, see, first is external superimposition. Then how you're superimposing on others, on people, on nature, on the environment. Then you've got to find out what you're superimposing upon yourself. What is the impression upon yourself? Who are you? I'm a nice person. Actually, if you think of it, I'm a nice person. Nobody says I'm a terrible person. Everybody says that I'm nice. There's a superimposition on yourself, the assessment of yourself. I'm not saying you're all not nice. I'm just giving an example. There's a superimposition. What is the reality? So earlier, Shankara gave that image of the silver on the oyster shell. The silver is superimposed on the oyster shell. Now he's giving the example of ornaments. That is the difference between the goldsmith and the customer. The customer looks at the ornaments. They're carried away by the design, by the glitter, by the shape and form of the ornaments. What does the goldsmith go to? straight away goes into the gold, 18 karat, 20 karat, 24 karat. Because ultimately he knows once you melt it, the shape, size, glitter, everything will go away. Prakalpitaha. Prakalpita means the superimposition by imagination. You get enchanted by the plurality in the world. You don't see the reality. Similarly, you get carried away by the enchantment of the ornaments. You don't see the underlying gold. Like the husband sees the prize, when the wife wants the necklace. Hey, we'll get that, we'll get that. Why wait 1 minute, 1 minute? He's not interested in what it is. He's going on the side and seeing the price. Huh? That's all he's interested. He's interested in the price. The manifested world of plurality superimposed by imagination. We're imagining something. And the word he's using here is Vishnu. He's using the word Vishnu to indicate Brahman. This is Brahma, Vishnu. Interestingly, the previous verse, I don't know if you all notice, they use the word Parameshwara. Parameshwara is another name for Lord Shiva. In the previous verse, when he said Supreme Lord, the word used is Parameshwara, Shiva. So in verse 8, he said Shiva is Brahman. In verse 9, he's saying Vishnu is Brahman. What is, because in those days, there was a clash between these two clans, It's called Vaishnavites and Shaivites. Vaishnavites are followers of Vishnu, Shaivites are followers of Shiva. They're clashing with each other. Shankara is saying, absurd. What are you clashing with each other? It's like the Shias and the Sunnis, Catholics, Protestants. Every religion there is a division. Any division indicates ignorance. The more the ignorance, the more the divisions. This is Vishnu, Shiva, are all the same. Shankara is regarded as a leader of the Shaivites. People who follow Shiva, they regard Shankara as their head, and he's saying everything is Vishnu. They would have thrown him out of that society by now. They would have thrown him out of the society. See, this is the greatness of these masters. They don't belong to any particular group, you see. They just speak the truth. They don't slot themselves in any particular group. It's the followers who create these groups. Christ had no group. Krishna had no group. They just preached. Followers created groups. You say there's a shirt. You say there's a trouser. You say this is a sheet. What is all that? It's nothing but cotton. It's cotton, cotton, cotton. You're seeing the shirt, you're seeing the trouser, you're seeing the sheets. It's all cotton. That's all they're saying. See that Brahman, which is in and through all these different objects and beings. I'll take this same verse. I'll continue with this in the next class. I'll explain a little bit more on this verse. One hour goes away so quickly. Huh? You realize, my God, already gone 1 hour. Tushar, bye.
Bhaskar, clarification question, please.
Yeah.
If we've got this absolute knowledge of the self, this Atmabodha, however it's transcendental to this relative worldly knowledge, then is our only mechanism to try and understand the absolute knowledge, the worldly knowledge, like, as in, unless we get something from out beyond, how will we then even comprehend this Atmabodha knowledge?
See, what is the scriptures? The scriptures is given by somebody who has realized the self, and he is giving it to us, who's telling us. So he knows the self, he's given that, he knows the direction, and they are giving us the direction. That is the scriptures. That's why scriptures have a value, because it is given by somebody who is realized.
Okay, thank you. So Shankara Swamiji, the goalpost is the Shastra, and then we've got to use that to. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
All right, everyone, let's stop here for today, and we'll continue next week.
Thank you, Bhaskarji.